There is a female black bear in the forest, rubbing her back against a pine tree. To you, it looks like she is scratching an itch. But you are wrong. She is writing a letter that could save her cubs' lives. A letter every bear for miles will read. The tree is a bulletin board. To understand the letter, first you have to enter the world where it's written, a world we can barely imagine. The message is written in scent, not ink. To understand it, you must step into a bear's world. Their noses are thousands of times more sensitive than yours. A grizzly can smell fear, hunger, and hormonal status on the wind. So scent is not just a smell, it is a language. But what does a scent message actually say? It is a deliberate marking left with the body's own glands. Bears have apocrine glands concentrated across their shoulders. When they rub, they deposit a cocktail of chemicals. The bark and sap hold that message for weeks. Long after the bear has vanished, the tree becomes a time capsule. For decades, biologists assumed tree rubbing was mostly about territory. A male bear clawing high on a trunk, leaving his imposing signature for rivals. But when researchers began to focus on female bears, something odd emerged. Female bears were not just rubbing at random. They were choosing specific trees at specific times, and their behavior did not fit the territorial model. In the forests of British Columbia, a researcher named Melanie Clapham spent years studying bear rub trees. She set up motion-activated cameras near heavily rubbed trees. She collected hair samples for DNA analysis. She could identify individual bears from the hair follicles left behind. What she discovered changed everything. Female bears use the trees far more during the mating season, but not all females use them the same way. Females without cubs, those ready to mate, were the most active rubbers. Females with young cubs, on the other hand, often avoided the trees completely. Or, if they did rub, their behavior was subtly different. Why would a mother bear avoid a tree? The answer lies in one of the darkest corners of bear society. But why does this dark drive shape a mother's rub tree behavior? The answer reveals a chemical chess game. Male bears sometimes kill cubs. It is not cruelty, but an evolutionary strategy. A nursing mother will not come into estrus. She is infertile for up to a year and a half. If a male kills her cubs, her hormonal clock resets within days. She becomes fertile again. The male can then sire his own cubs. This is called sexually selected infanticide. Imagine a small cub trembling as a strange male's shadow falls. So what does this brutal equation have to do with the rub tree? It has been documented in brown bears, black bears, and polar bears. A landmark study in Scandinavia by John Swenson and his colleagues revealed just how brutal it is. They tracked radio-collared bears for years. Cub mortality was overwhelmingly from other bears. Not starvation, not disease, but other bears. And the killers were almost always adult males, unrelated to the cubs. So a mother bear with cubs faces a terrifying landscape. The very scent of a strange male could spell death for her young. And the rub trees are the message boards of the forest. When a male bear walks by a rubbed tree, he can read the story of the female who left the mark. He can tell her species, her sex, even her individual identity. And most importantly, he can tell whether she is ready to mate. The chemical composition of a female scent changes with her hormonal state. A female in estrus leaves a cocktail that screams sexual availability. A female with cubs leaves a very different signature. It signals motherhood, non-receptivity, a message of not interested. But here is where the story takes a twist. Some researchers now believe that female bears use rub trees not just to advertise honestly, but to manipulate. A female without cubs may rub prominently to draw in multiple males. This creates competition and ensures she mates with the strongest. A female with cubs, by contrast, may deliberately rub far from her core range. She might leave a misleading scent trail to divert males away from her cubs. Or she may rub only on trees that are less traveled by males. She might chemically mask her own fertility, tricking males into leaving her alone. It is a chemical lie inscribed on bark. But how do these chemical lies actually work on a physical tree? The answer is written in the bark itself. The tree becomes a tool of deception. Another researcher, Owen Nevin, studied these rub trees in coastal British Columbia. He described them as chemical bulletin boards. He found that the most heavily used trees were along well-known bear trails. They were often rubbed at a specific height. And that height? It's the key to the bear's entire social network. It allows an optimal scratch, but also places the scent right at bear nose level. Some trees have been used by generations of bears for decades. They are polished smooth by countless backs. If you run your hand over that bark, you might feel only the worn wood. You would smell nothing but pine and earth. But a bear's nose can read years of history layered in that wood. The tree is a library, and the books are written in scent. Perhaps you have seen a rubbed tree yourself on a hike. Bark stripped away, dark with oils, a few hairs caught in the sap. You probably assumed it was just a bear shedding its winter coat. Now you know you were looking at a communication hub. The world you walk through is built on sight. The world a bear walks through is built on smell. Every object carries a story you cannot read, and the rub tree is the front page. The drive to leave scent marks is ancient beyond measure. Long before our ancestors climbed down from the trees, mammals were already sniffing each other's signals. Your own dog, when it sniffs a fire hydrant, is reading a newspaper. When it scratches the ground after doing its business, it is adding its own ad to the classifieds. That same chemical urgency pulses through the bear on her hind legs. The language of scent is the oldest communication on Earth, and the female bear is one of its most eloquent speakers. For her, getting the message right is a matter of life and death. Too strong a signal of fertility, and she draws a killer to her cubs. Too weak a signal, and she misses her chance to mate when she is finally ready. So she has evolved a nuanced chemical vocabulary. She can shout her receptivity. She can whisper her unavailability. She can choose which tree to use, how high to rub, how long to press. Each variable shapes the message. It is not a simple on-off switch. And the tree is not just a passive canvas, it's a partner in the deception. Here's how. The tree itself plays a role. Different tree species have different resin chemistries. Yet the tree doesn't just record, it actively participates. How exactly? The chemistry holds the key. Those resins mix with the bear's oils to create a unique signal. A pine tree message may differ from a cedar tree message. The bear might even select a tree that amplifies her scent. Scientists have identified dozens of volatile compounds in bear scent marks.
Fatty acids, sterols, pheromone-like chemicals.
Each compound degrades over time. So how does a bear read this chemical menu to decide which tree will best carry her lie? Imagine a male arriving days later. One sniff tells him the female visited, but the scent also reveals when she was here and whether she is still nearby. Or perhaps she is long gone and the mark is just old news. But a clever female can manipulate that timeline. She might leave a mark that says she is still receptive, even if her body's chemistry has shifted. The male must decide whether to trust the scent or move on. Males can distinguish fresh from old with a single sniff. It is a form of chemical timestamping. This allows a male to decide whether to follow a scent trail or ignore it. And it allows a female to manage the attention she receives. In a way, the bear is doing what you do with your phone. She is checking the local network. Who has been here? Are they a threat? Are they available? The difference is that our network is a tree, and her data is written in molecules. It is slower than a text, but it is far more honest. You cannot easily fake a scent that depends on your body's true state, not without great metabolic cost. So the messages on the rub tree are for the most part truthful advertisements, and yet evolution has found room for a little deception. A mother bear might still use the tree to her advantage, even if it means bending the truth. Some biologists refer to certain trees as super trees. These are trees so heavily rubbed over the years that they become saturated with the scent of many bears. They act as a communal memory for the population. A young bear, wandering alone for the first time, might approach a super tree. In one deep inhale, he learns about the bears who came before. He knows if there is a dominant male nearby. He knows if a female in estrus passed this way. He knows who to avoid and who to seek out. It is a social register, a history book, a matchmaking site, all wrapped in the trunk of a pine. And it all started with what looked like an innocent back scratch. So the next time you are deep in the forest and you see a female bear scratch her back on a tree, do not dismiss it. See a mother sending a warning. See a female advertising her readiness. See a creature using the most sophisticated chemical language outside of our own. The bear is not just scratching a tree. She is speaking. And if you listen with the right nose, you might just understand her. But your nose is not built for that world. So you must use your eyes, your mind, your new knowledge. The next time you see a rubbed tree, stop. Place your hand on the worn bark. Feel the generations of messages. And remember the mother bear who stood here, choosing her words carefully. Because what she wrote might have saved her cubs' lives. Deep in the forest, right now, a female bear is ambling toward a pine tree. She has something to say, and now you know she's not just scratching an itch. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel. There's much more to discover.